Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to start a brand new 4-part series focusing on some hands from WCOOP 2022. In this particular tournament, we're going to look at 4-handed play from a $530 WCOOP tournament. Let's get into it. Alright, so here you can see the stack setup, and this is the reason why I wanted to focus on 4-handed play. You can see we've got the cutoff here has around 50 bigs, button has 64 bigs, and then the players in the blinds are short. And as we go through this series, you're going to see the short stacks get even shorter, and some really funky stuff starts to happen with the guy in second against the chip leader. So first up then, all we're going to focus on is what kind of hands can the cutoff open. In this particular example, the cutoff actually opens king 9 off, and I thought this was interesting because I thought, can he open here? Because if he opens too wide in this situation, if the button 3-bets, or even if the button jams, and I know 50 big blinds is a lot of chips to jam, but if he does do that, then the cutoff's going to have to fold a huge amount. Their risk premium is going to be really high. So what is going on here? I have run the hand. Let's take a look at that now. All right, so here is the cutoff's opening range. You can see they are just min raising, no jamming. You wouldn't expect to see 50 big blinds go for a jam here, but you know, stranger things have happened in these ICM sims. But we can see king 9 off isn't opening here. But rather than just going, okay, yeah, king 9 off, not an open, you could feed back to this player, you know, that's a bit of a loose open. It's actually losing money here. But the more important thing to focus on is what kind of hands do open. So real sort of skew towards the ace-x hands, and then suited kings, and then just high card hands, and then only raising down to pocket 5s. So if we do click here, we can then see the button gets to play a lot of hands, only folding 64%. So playing, what's that, like 35, 36% of hands, and doing quite a lot of calling, some 3-betting, and actually some jamming as well. 50 big blinds. So the cutoff can't go too crazy here because the button can just jam, and then you know, cutoff's going to have to fold a lot of hands. So we can see the kind of hands that want to jam. It's a lot of ace-x, and you've got to assume that when this player does jam, you know, seeing this strategy or this range of hands that jams, we've got to assume then that the cutoff can only really call off with aces. So let's just confirm that. So yeah, aces is the only full frequency call here. You can see ace king suited also going for a call, and kings as well. But certainly not in the 100% of the time. Ace king off's going to have to fold, ace queen off, ace queen suited, queens even going to have to fold. So what is going on here? Well, let's take a look at the bubble factors. You can see that the cutoff's bubble factor, or risk premium, let's focus on this bottom number. Top number is bubble factor, bottom number is risk premium, 22.4%. So if you get jammed on, you're going to need a certain amount of equity to call, and then you're going to need an extra 22.4% in order to call in this situation when the blinds are so short. So that's why, you know, the button can jam, 8% of hands pretty aggressively. Some other hands making their way in there as well, and then you can only call with kings plus ace king suited, which is, you know, really, really tight. Similarly, when the button goes for a 3-bet, you're going to be doing a decent amount of calling, but you're also going to be folding quite a lot as well. And then your 4-bet jams are going to come from very strong hands, and then hands with blockers. So if we did go for a 4-bet jam, you can now see that the button can only call off with kings plus ace king, and 10s as well. And the reason why jacks and queens aren't in here is because if we go back here, queens and jacks are a full frequency pure call for the button against the cutoff open. So if we go back to the hand, then cutoff should fold, and then what we could do, and as I mentioned in a lot of videos where we run sims, rather than just focusing on one exact hand, as I said before, we could just say, okay, king 9 off, not an open, cool, move on to the next hand. But these sims can take quite a while. 4-handed sims don't take as long as 9-handed sims, but given that we've run the sim, let's explore it a bit more. Now, we've already done that to a certain extent, looking at what the cutoff can open, what the button can 3-bet, what the button can flat, what the button can 3-bet jam, and then what the cutoff's responses to those different actions are. So let's say now that the cutoff folded and the button has the action, right? I want to look now and see how wide can the button jam, because of course the blinds are somewhat short. So do they have to somewhat gamble here in order to prevent the button from jamming so wide? Or do they just have to fold a lot? You know, the button just gets to jam really wide because he has such a big chip lead and the blind's risk premiums are just, you know, so high. Let's take a look. All right, so this is the button strategy, and you can see only folding 34.2%, going for a min raise with 25%, and actually jamming almost 41% of hands. So you can see the jams are coming from even hands as weak as 7-4 suited, 5-3 suited. We've got some king-6 off in there. We've got some queen-2 suited, some 10-4 suited, 9-5 suited. So really, really wide jamming range in this spot. And then the raising range is like 7s plus, ace-9 suited, ace-jack off. And then we've got some sort of raise folds as well from these weaker hands, 10-7 off, jack-6 off, king-3 off, 9-2 suited, stuff like that. Now we see ace-8 off and king-10 off and queen-jack off. These are hands that are probably going to raise fold against the bigger of the two stacks. I think it's the small blind, and call against the big blind who's a bit shorter. So pretty good to see like how this strategy is constructed, or how this range is constructed. So yeah, if the small blind goes for the jam, you can see 6s plus, ace-jack off, ace-9 suited, the hands that want to call, and you can see these hands in white at the raise folds. If instead it was the big blind who jammed, you can see now king-10 off, queen-jack off, ace-8 off, even ace-8 suited, going for a call here. But still, we still got these raise folds down, the hands in white here. So what's going on here? Why can the button just jam so wide? And if we look at the jams, let's have a look at small blind's calling range. It's really tight. 7s plus, ace-8 suited, ace-9 off, king-queen suited. Big blind a bit wider. Fewer chips, probably a lower risk premium, but we'll have a look at that in a minute. But yeah, closes the action as well. So yeah, cools off a bit wider. Let's take a quick look at the risk premiums. So the small blind's risk premium against the button is 13.5%. And the big blinds is 12%. So fewer chips, risking less, but you can still see the risk premiums are really, really high for both of these players. So I think one of the common misconceptions in this spot is that when you're short, you have to, you can't just wait around. The button's probably jamming really, really wide, so you should be calling really, really wide. Well, that's not the case. The button is definitely jamming really, really wide. We can see the hands here that the button wants to jam, the hands in purple. But even so, even if you knew this is how wide the button is jamming, in the small blind you can only call this range, and in the big blind you can only call this range. So pretty fascinating hand, I think you'll agree. This is just the first hand and the first part of this 4-part series. Make sure you check back next week for the next part. And if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button. And until next time, take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.